After that, we spent a great deal of time sitting around and talking, laughing, and telling jokes, none of which I had really gotten to do, according to my memory, ever. But for whatever the reason, something felt right about it. Having those two around made me feel happy. I couldn't really understand why at the time, just that it did. And I found myself smiling much more often than I regularly do. But over the course of the amount of time that we spent together, I found Emily's glance continually falling on the segment of music boxes that I made, looking at them somewhat longingly. Emily, I said, catching her in one of her moments, her glance falling towards the music boxes again. Yeah, she replied, turning back towards me. Do you want a music box? No, that's all right. We can't really afford just getting toys. We have to be practical. There's no room for silly expenses like that. So it's because you can't afford it, but you do want one. Yes, Emily replied. Oh, okay, I said, getting up from my seat and walking over to the music boxes, picking out the one that I noted that Emily was looking the closest at, and walking back over to her, grasping her hand and putting the music box inside of it. Well, there you go. I already told you I can't afford it, she replied, looking at me angrily and starting to press the box back towards me. No worries, I said, as I backed away. Consider it a gift. You don't have to worry about affording something if it's free. And it's free. We are friends after all, right? Friends give each other gifts, I said, smiling down towards her, as she sat crisscross with the music box in her hand, pressing the small button on the side, which caused the music to begin to kick up, playing that slow, lilting tune, as a smile creeped across her face, a very gentle one. You mean I can really have it? Yeah, of course you can. Don't worry about it. I've got plenty more of them, and they sell well, so giving you that one won't affect my bottom line. To be honest, you have good taste. I don't really know why, but the song that one plays is my favorite. What do you mean you don't know why? She said, looking at me curiously. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot, she said, as she most likely just recalled that I had no memory of my past. It seems so strange. You're able to remember all of these musics that come from different places, things I've never heard before. You're able to build all this stuff, and yet you don't remember anything practical, anything that might point you to who you are. It's like these are little tiny scraps of the person that you used to be, all mashed together and pressed into different forms. It's beautiful and also kind of sad. You have so many gifts. If you do have parents, then I imagine they must be missing you. To have taught you all of this different stuff, and to still not be able to remember them. It almost feels cruel. Well, maybe, but maybe not. I don't really remember, so I can't really be a judge on whether or not my parents loved me. Honestly, it's a very good possibility that I was just some sort of labor horse for them. Maybe I know how to build all this stuff because they made me work constantly or something like that. It's no proof of their niceness or not. My life is what it is, and I'm not going to feel bad about it, especially with no memory of it. All I can really do is live moment by moment, and there's no reason to feel sad about that. That's how basically everyone has to live. Cheer up. Gifts are supposed to make you feel happy, right? Yeah, I guess so, she said, as that warm, subtle smile returned to her face, listening to the lilting song of the music box, as I suddenly heard a whistling sound from nearby. Wow, you two are certainly connecting, Barry said, with a big cheesy grin on his face. You sure you don't want me to leave you two alone? Maybe you two could smooch, he said, beginning to chuckle. Shut up, Barry, Emily replied, tearing herself away from the warm smile to look angrily at him. It's not like that and you know it. I just like the music box, that's all. It's a nice gift. Not like you've ever given me a gift. Jerk, she replied, giving him a stern scowl. Sorry, I'm not as good as making stuff as Jax. All I can offer you is the warmth of my smile. And a stomach full of food. Will that work? I couldn't help but chuckle a bit, as Barry smiled joyfully at us. I think a belly full of food is a nice gift, I said, returning to take my seat. And from that point on, we continued our conversation for a while longer before Emily and Barry decided to go back to wherever it was they were staying, going to sleep for the night. Over the course of the next few months, we grew even closer, spending more and more time together. They even took me to their place, which was a bit more ramshackle than my own. They didn't really have the luxuries that I had made for myself. Honestly, after spending a little bit of time there, I started to understand why they liked coming to my place so much. I had even made a sort of air conditioning system for my place, so despite the heat, it could still be fairly cool during the day, which helped greatly with my work. After seeing all of that, I went through the effort of giving them one of my generators, and I even outfitted them with a small air conditioning unit that I had built. It wasn't big enough to cool a large area, but within the small confined space that they were staying, it would work rather well. And with the generator on hand, they didn't have to worry about power. I didn't even charge them for it. I just gave it to them. We were friends after all, and I did have one to spare. 3 was more than enough to cover my power needs. I only really built that one as a backup, in case of trouble with the other 3. But I kept them very well maintained and checked on them regularly. So as of yet, I hadn't come across any major problems, especially since I tended to upgrade everything. It was really how I occupied my time, other than working. Eventually, Barry came to me with an idea. We were primarily scavenging electronics from within the city, things that people would throw away or things that they would steal from people, when they could, without an excessive amount of danger. Pity Annie things. But Barry had the idea that perhaps it might be more profitable to salvage other places, most beneficial to find places that hadn't been scavenged yet. And the only places that hadn't been scavenged were hidden. He had heard tales of hidden warehouses, packed with food, electronics, and hard resources like gold, diamonds, and other materials that were fairly valuable, and that if we could find them, we could turn a massive profit and improve the quality of all of our lives. It was just the finding them part that was hard. But Barry didn't have my abilities. He couldn't build things like I could. So he asked the question of whether I could build a device that would detect old world technology that was still active, signals that might be hidden away from other people, active systems that other people wouldn't be able to detect from just wandering about. If we were able to do that, then we might be able to find some hidden goods. I told him that it was possible. All electronic devices do put off electromagnetic fields and things of that nature that can be detected, but that it would take some time for me to finish creating something to pick up weaker signals from technology that had been inactive for a great deal of time. Most likely, I would be picking up the signals from power stored in long-lost batteries that had probably gone dead for some time, but the degrading of batteries does give off its own energy signal. So, if I created the device appropriately, I could pick up these signals, even if they were hidden away. So, I got to work on building one.